All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Banks Wants You to Know, your latest source for financial discipline and literacy. So, we are well into the summertime now, and I'm pretty sure you all can tell with the endless hot days that we've been enduring and the smell of grill smoke in the air. And as we've gone deep into summertime now, people have been taking their vacations, whether it's to somewhere near or somewhere far away. But either way, what does it take to be able to make these vacation plans? Yep, you guessed it, money. So that was obvious, but I digress. So to make vacations or short getaways happen, we sometimes have to make sacrifices, traded in some of our usually free time in exchange for some extra money. Others may save it throughout the year or for a couple months before the summer to create a vacation fund. And there may be others who will put their vacations on credit cards and decide to pay them later. Or they may find themselves unable to pay their credit card back in a reasonable amount of time, which could unfortunately lead to a slippery slope of a financial downfall. And who wants that? Today, I will focus on that time consuming part of funding the finer things in life, how to use our side hustle money. In most cases, especially in these times, having a side hustle or a second or even a third job is necessary just to fully fund our living expenses. So, for those who may watch this video and think to themselves, well, I have multiple jobs because I need them. Trust me, I see you and I feel you. Whatever boat you find yourself in, I want to present a few tips to how you can make your side job money work better for you. So let's jump into it. First tip that I have for you all today is really my main motivation for addressing this topic today. That is, you have to find and discover the purpose for finding a side hustle or a job. In other words, just to sound a little more inspirational, figuring out your why for getting that other job, that gig, or just another way to make some money. If you're just getting an extra job just to have more money, yet you don't have a clear goal for the extra money, then that can be the first step to experiencing more financial pitfalls for not managing the money efficiently. Have you ever wondered, like how do people you may know who have lots of money yet they still run into financial problems? That common issue can be due to two things. Either they are receiving multiple streams of income and they haven't decided how to manage them quite yet, or in other words, spending it as if it's still a single stream of income, or they kind of increase their quality of living with each increase they receive to really keep up with the Joneses. An example of that would be like quickly upgrading your car. Let's say from a Chevrolet Malibu, you're paying around maybe $299 a month. You upgraded it to a Lexus, and now you're paying around $429 a month because that person they may have received an increase on their job that gave them an extra $150 in take home pay. And instead of using that $150 increase for something else that could last, it's now swallowed up in another car payment to take a step up in lifestyle and glamour. Our goals for generating extra income can really be anything, such as creating more savings, collecting money for a big ticket item such as a down payment on a house or a car, to pay other bills, to pay taxes, or to fund and invest into a dream of yours. There should be a plan that lays out how that extra income from these side hustles will be used. All right, so what I have here is, or what I tried to do here is draw two buckets here. One that's going to have our main income that we get from our main job, and income that we get from our side hustles. And shout out to one of my good friends, one of my subscribers, Alt Willie, for really throwing that bucket term for me, and I was able to include it in this video. So thank you, thank you. Anyway, so this first bucket here, let's say, for you're already doing your bills, doing some other things like discretionary income. but maybe you're not able to save. So you come over here and you can use this for saving. And you can either save all of it, or you could make you know have a regular savings account for, let's say, about 500 of it, and then create another one for, maybe you have a goal in mind. That goal could be for um, saving for a car or for a vacation. We're in the summertime. We're talking about vacations, things like that, early on. So this could go, the other the remaining of that thousand could go to saving. And then for other things, maybe you're already saving here. A couple of other things like investing. Could use this for, I'm going to shorten that up, car maintenance. And all right, last thing I'm going to say, if you like, say you have dreams of starting a business, or maybe you want to go back to school for culinary school, or um, getting an extra degree, anything like that. So that's why I put business slash dreams. Basically, what I'm trying to point out here is not to commingle funds, or not to mix the funds. If you have something that you're already using your funds for here, but it doesn't cover all of your lifestyle, you get a second job. That second job is meant to cover cover what you don't have, but defined have a defined goal, or have a defined reason for that side hustle income. Before I go on to the next topic, one other good idea that I have that you could do for your side money, paying down debts. Let's say you want to get this car paid off quicker, then yeah, use it. You can use your side hustle money for that. Or if you want to add extra to your a mortgage payment, you want to get something paid off quicker than what the term is, so you can get to that status of financial freedom. That's what this can be used for. You're already paying your bills here. So, use some of this or all of this to add to that, to pay your things, pay your bills and your responsibilities down. And this next tip here, really a nice segue from the previous one, because it's generally the opposite of structuring your side income pay for a purpose. Kind of gave it away with the demonstration I was just doing. But when there is no clear purpose for your other stream of income, or even for your main income, then your funds can get mixed. When your funds are mixed and commingled with no direction in sight, that is typically followed by a lack of direction in your spending as well. I mentioned earlier in this video how even those who you may consider rich or wealthy still run into money problems, because they may treat each of their streams of income as one giant stream being dumped into one giant bucket, and is being spent as such. When that happens, it can lead to missed opportunities, such as the chance to save more, for example. Another thing I think about when it comes to mixed funds is really your perception of your personal income statement, which is really just a list of bills. You may think you can do more with more, like, for example, you may think you can spend more at the grocery store, or pay for a higher cost daycare for your children. But if you sat down with your list of bills and figured out ways to save money, or to cut back on a couple of things, then a start to that fix would be to treat each of your streams of income separately. As I stated before in a previous video, each dollar needs an assignment. And now, in this case, each stream needs a bucket. Once that is accomplished, you can see where your money has been missing, and then you'll feel like you can do more with less. All right. In this first example, this bucket here is the mixed bucket that I'm trying to get people to not do. Let's say there's a family out here, same amounts that we had earlier. Your main income, you get 3,000. Side income, you're getting. I went ahead and put 1,500 that you're getting from your side income, but they're going into the same bucket and coming out of this bucket, you're paying your bills, you're paying your groceries. If your kids got various programs or things that you're paying with, they're coming out. You may be able to save just a little bit, which is kind of a consequence for mixing mixing your funds. And with the perception thing that I was talking about, if you're mixing it all, you're getting 4,500 a month coming into the household. Now you're thinking like, all right, for example, when it comes to kids, maybe I can send that kid to to a private school. Maybe I can and send them to a certain type of camp or a certain type of program, or even like a tuition based primary school or secondary school, because you're looking at one statement, everything's going into that bucket, and your perception is, well, I have more, so maybe I can stretch it a little bit more to pay whatever comes up, or whatever's on your mind, whatever you aspire to do. But over here in this bucket that's not mixed, well, I'll have to draw another one. But now that this is split up, let's act like this is going to go in here. Um, now you have a defined purpose for this stream of income, and then you've done your financial review. Now you see that, okay, for this next bucket, maybe instead of various programs, maybe we can cut back on that, throw it into a college fund for the future, or maybe some of that can go to a college fund, some of that be poured into vacations, yearly vacations for the family, instead of maybe having to kind of pinch, or having to maybe settle for a credit card because you may not be able to see where you can pull money from in one bucket. But if you divide them into more than one bucket, you'll at least be able to see where your money's going, what else you can do with the money. And that's basically what I'm trying to get you all to see here. And now we're on the last tip of the session to managing your side hustle income. And this one will require a little bit of thinking and just being introspective. Having an extra job, another gig, or side business takes a lot of things that includes sacrifice, dedication, energy, time, and focus, and probably plenty of other things as well. You have to ask yourself, will it be worth giving up the free time you previously had to occupy that time to make more money? Of course, this is nothing new, as most of us likely had parents who took second jobs to support us, and that was really to make ends meet. Nowadays, that can still be the case due to what seems to be continuous inflation and rising cost of living expenses to combat the inflation. But also, we have other interests that we do not want to miss out on in our lifetime, such as travel, activities with our friends and family, and plenty of other things that possibly needed to be funded with a side hustle if the main job isn't making enough to support the lifestyle you want. Now, there is an opportunity cost with choosing to work more and rest less. They say time is money, and that is definitely true, because you will be spending more time in exchange for more money. Also, there are other things that come with choosing another job. Financially, you'll have to consider if the extra income will put you into another tax bracket, which makes more of your income taxable and requires you to pay more in taxes at the end of the year. Now, check out my tax day video for more about that topic. Speaking of taxes, depending on the type of job that you get, that income can be taxed differently. For example, food delivery jobs such as DoorDash and Uber Eats, something I've done before, uses a Form 1099, which is a tax form that's basically for independent contractors. You receive all the money you earn when you earn it, tax free, but taxes have to be paid from the money that you've been earning at the end of the tax year. Like I said earlier, I have experience with this as I participated in that line of work for a few years, starting out really just to make extra money for our wedding, and then kind of continuing it for other purposes, maybe just put a little extra in my pocket. But if you're used to receiving a refund each year, choosing such a job for side income can be risky as it may eat into that refund. Mentally and physically, trading in that time for money possibly could lead to burnout and exhaustion. So please be aware of that. And then for those who have spouses and children, extra time away from home can be a major factor in your relationship. So it would be something to discuss with the important ones in your family to see if if this decision is the right thing for you to do, whether it's for a season or permanently. We do not want to get to the point where money controls us, enslaves us, or forces us to turn money into an idol. So it really is an important decision to consider and make. And as I conclude today's session on side hustles and the money we earn from them, I want to go back to that last sentence that I just said. We do not want to get to the point where money controls us, enslaves us, or forces us to turn it into an idol. Unfortunately, making the decision to get a second job, really having multiple jobs, or having multiple streams of income can lead people to focusing on the money part only of the decision and neglecting other things surrounding the decision. Will it be worth your health? Will it be worth missing time with family, or just having less time to really rest? A tip that could help with that decision is really just choosing a side hustle that fits you, whether it's something that you can kind of be your own boss, something you're really passionate about, or something that's fun, that you find fun to you. Whether you are considering getting a second job currently, or you may have one already. I believe these financial tips for managing your side hustle money will help you all in the long run, achieving the goals that you have set for yourself in your future. But be aware of that feeling of greed that could creep in when you're working for the sole purpose of just having more money and just really acquiring it just to possess things, earthly things, or really just kind of achieve the finer things in life. And that's where I want to come from in this verse of the session today, which comes from Luke chapter 12, verse 15. And it says, "Then he," was Jesus, "said to them, 'Watch out, be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions.'" And this verse was found in one of Jesus' parables about the rich fool in Luke chapter 12, 13 through 21. Now I'll just go ahead and read the whole thing. "And one of the company said unto him, 'Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me.' And he said unto him, 'Man, who made me a judge or a divider over you?' And he said unto them, 'Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consists not in the abundance of things over which he possesses.' And he spake a parable unto them, saying, The ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do? Because I have no room for where to bestow my fruits. And he said, This will I do. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said unto him, Thou fool, this night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then who shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasures for himself and is not rich toward God. All right, had to bring out, just wanted to show you, had to bring out the extra true word for that, because I didn't have it on the screen, but I like sometimes just getting back into the actual book to read. While there are those who strongly feel they need a second job, a side hustle, something similar to make ends meet or to really cover all of their expenses, there are those who work just to gain all the money they can to either store it or to spend it lavishly. To most of us, this type of spending is what we would call living in the fast lane. And there are consequences that come with that lifestyle. There are also consequences for working solely for money and for no other solid reason. Do you ever feel that the more money you make, the more problems arise? I believe that that truly happens when the money you gain is not being put to good use. In other words, it's not being stewarded well. I also believe that that's God's way of telling us to slow down and reminding us that He's the one who gave us the opportunity to earn extra income and be blessed with the current possessions that we have. It's not by our own efforts or talents, but by His favor and His provision. As we reflect on how to better use the side income that we've been earning, let's also reflect on how God is the one to lead us to those opportunities. And He can also be there for us to help us use that extra income wisely. And that, my friends, concludes this session of Banks Wants You to Know, where financial discipline equals financial success. Thank you once again for tuning in. And if this information was beneficial to you, then please hit that like button on the video and subscribe for more financial tips that I can bring to you. Share this with someone who you would think also can benefit from this information. Also, let's jump into the comments and tell me about your experiences with side hustle or side job incomes. What has worked for you and what hasn't? Now, next time, I'll go into another angle about side hustles. So come back next time to hear what I'm going to say. Times are hard, but we can get through them together. Thank you again, and class is dismissed.